What I do in this book is I explore where are the areas where humans are really going to continue to excel. And it goes like this. If you are competent, you're vulnerable because AI is competent. It's more than competent. And more importantly, perhaps, if you're competent, you're ignorable. We don't want to be ignorable. Our businesses can't afford to be ignorable. And so this book takes you through a process.
This is the Entrepreneurs United podcast with your hosts, John St. Pierre and Rich Hoffman.
Entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs, we're all wondering right now in 2026 how we as humans can win in a world of AI. And today we have the author of the best-selling book, Audacious, Mark Schaefer. Mark, thanks for joining the Entrepreneurs United podcast.
Hey, I'm so happy to be here and to meet you guys for the first time. It's great.
Mark, tell us, when was the first time the light bulb went off in your own mind of going, oh my gosh, look at this thing called AI? When was that moment for you?
That is very easy to answer. It was right when ChatGPT came out. I had just finished writing a book. I turned in the manuscript. And of course, the first thing I did to test ChatGPT was to ask it to write an essay relevant to this book that I just wrote in my voice. I've got lots of content out there, so it could write this in my voice. And the darn thing did it in 3 seconds. And it was like, it just popped the balloon, right? Because that effort, it took me 2 years to write this book. And my effort, my journey is like the value that I bring to the world. And so that was an existential moment to make me wonder, where do I belong? How is this all going to work out?
Mark, your subtitle to your book worked for me. Audacious, How Humans Win in an AI Marketing World. It immediately prompts my follow-up question. Hey, Mark, how do humans win in an AI marketing world?
What a clever question.
I love your subtitle. It
Yeah.
absolutely prompts that. And I'd love to hear, your overview take on that. How do they win? And I have a feeling we're going to have some follow-up questions here because I want to win. And I know our listeners want to win.
Yeah. What I do in this book is I explore where are the areas where humans are really going to continue to excel. And it goes like this. If you are competent, you're vulnerable because AI is competent. It's more than competent. And more importantly, perhaps, if you're competent, you're ignorable. We don't want to be ignorable. Our businesses can't afford to be ignorable. And so this book takes you through a process. I got to interview and meet some of the greatest creatives in the world. And these aren't just big agencies. They're small businesses, they're nonprofits, to talk about what is their process? What is their system for creating ideas and marketing and advertising that cuts through the clutter? And it really gets down to getting in touch with our human experience and viewing the world in a very human way and creating ideas and marketing and content that transcends what AI can do.
Mark, tell me about your internal journey to have come to realize that your competence is ignorable. And what was that experience for you when you came to realize that?
I think if you are immersed in the world of AI like I am, you can't help but have a moment that's very depressing. And we see this in the news, right? Where AI is going to take all our jobs, blah, blah, blah. I don't really agree with that, by the way. I do think there will be job loss, unquestionably. But I think we have to get to a point, Rich, where, okay, you spend a day or two being depressed. And now you have to say, all right, how do I put on this new armor? How do I use AI to be bigger and bolder and more creative and more impactful in this world? This is a magical time where we can just amplify what we do best and amplify our impact on the world. And that's the way we need to look at it and embrace it, because it's not going away. And just is helping me in so many ways right now as a teacher, as a mentor, as a creator, as an entrepreneur, as a leader, as a speaker. And that's what we all have to do as individuals and also for our companies.
What should every entrepreneur do today to take AI to the next level when it comes to marketing? Do you have a prompt they can use, or how can they spend a half hour to an hour a time today to unlock a little bit of magic?
I'm going to answer this two ways. And one is going to be an unexpected way. And that is the best way you can really win in an AI world is to do something that's very non AI. And that is to work on your personal brand for an entrepreneur or a small business. That might be the last defense you have against AI. No matter what happens in this AI world, people are always going to turn to a human being for trust, right? And if you are the trusted person in your market, in your city, in your industry, then you're going to be okay to weather this thing. It's the last defense you have. Working on your personal brand is like a deposit in an insurance policy for your business and your career. When it comes to AI, first of all, as a leader, there's like a historical precedent to delegate this stuff, right? To delegate learning about this new technology or trying this new technology. To be a great leader today, you don't have to have all the right answers, but you have to have all the right questions. And you won't know what questions to ask unless you do this yourself. You've got to roll up your sleeves and you've got to test some of these AI tools every day. And I don't mean just like using ChatGPT as a glorified search engine. Go in there and try to break the thing. See what it can do for your business. See what it thinks about your competitors, your customers, your marketing, your manufacturing, your management style. Try to use some of the video things. There's a thing called Notebook LM. Some people think that's the greatest productivity tool out there right now. I just started using Claude Cowork. It comes free with your $20 subscription to Claude. It's absolutely mind-blowing. It really acts like a human. So roll up your sleeves and do it and try it. And that way, you'll be able to lead your team and ask the right questions. Are we doing the right things to really help enable our business?
Mark, obviously, if competence is making you vulnerable and competence or competent is ignorable, you don't want to be incompetent because that could be even worse. So what's the other side? Is it audacious or is it expertise? Like what is the level, like, and maybe that's where the word audacious comes in.
Yeah,
I'm curious as to how you view that.
I think so. Can anybody really be an expert? You can't be smarter than AI, right? You,
No, but you could be smarter than other humans using it because you are testing it and you are getting ahead of it.
That short term, yeah. But the economic value of intelligence is zero or near zero now. You're not going to be able to be. This is the first time in history we're not the smartest person in the room anymore, and we never will be. How do we create this value? You can't outsmart AI, but you can out-human AI. So the framework in the book goes like this. What is your marketing? It's the story you tell the world about your business, a brand. You're trying to create this emotional expectation between you and your customers. Now, so what's a story? Obviously, it's the narrative. It's where you tell the story, and it's who tells the story. And if you look at the greatest marketing and advertising, and by the way, I'll start by saying most marketing and advertising is completely boring and not having any impact on consumers whatsoever. And there's like shocking statistics in this book to support that. So for you to like transcend this pandemic of boring that's most marketing and advertising, it doesn't take that much. But what you need to do is look at those three things. What's the story? Disrupt the story. Disrupt where the story is told. Disrupt who tells the story. Let me give you just one quick little example of what I mean. So this book I wrote, Audacious, How Humans Win in an AI Marketing World, the only thing on the cover is a QR code. What I did is I uploaded the book to AI, and the AI is creating abstract images based on the stories in the book. And when you hover your phone over the cover of the book changes endlessly. It's an infinity cover. So what's happening here? I disrupted the story. There's never been a story like that before. I disrupted where the story's told on the cover of a book. I've disrupted who's telling the story. It's not even a human being. And so this becomes a conversational, right? This transcends the dull. I'm looking at my statistics and I'm hearing from people, children are playing with the cover of my book because this image just keeps changing in a whimsical way.
Okay. Mark, I think I'm catching what you're throwing down. Let me try and see if I am. And Rich, please tell me if you're catching anything different. You talked about how important it is to get in touch with the human experience. The first thing that you should be doing and thinking about is not jumping on all these AI platforms all over the place. It's really thinking about your personal brand, because at the end of the day, IQ may not be the biggest key to the future and winning in this world of AI. It may be EQ. It may be your personal brand and your story, everything that's contained in that.
Yes.
And then knowing how to ask the right questions, both to yourself and the instruments that you're using to get the right outputs. It was the next piece. And then the last piece I got was really being audacious with the story you're telling the world and to disrupt, because at the end of the day, what you have left in this world is really the story that you have. And that has meaningful impact to the world.
Yeah.
Whereas knowing how to do a math equation, probably not so much anymore.
And let me just emphasize this disrupt. It doesn't have to be this reckless, woo, offensive thing. It could just be honest, be vulnerable, tell a real story. We live in this world where AI can duplicate anything, right? It's like you can hear AI creating songs like Bruce Springsteen, but I'm only going to pay my money to see Bruce in concert, not a machine, because he means something to me, because he's created an emotional connection by interpreting the human experience with his audience. No matter what happens with AI, we're always going to love our favorite artist, our favorite book author, our favorite musician, and also our favorite blogger, and our favorite podcaster, and our favorite YouTuber. Why? Because they're interpreting the human experience. It's not some crazy, reckless thing. It's just in the future, real humanity is going to be a luxury that is going to be disruptive. And so many people are just reading an AI script or overusing AI and just joining this pandemic of dull. And you think there's going to be a great future in just being vulnerable, that in a way that creates this human connection. And let me ask you something. How many big companies are going to become vulnerable? How do you delegate vulnerability to an advertising agency? This is where entrepreneurs and small businesses will rule in this world, because you are the face of your business. You are the heart of your business. And you need to have the courage to show that passion, that compassion, the caring, the heart, the smile in every customer touch point. And that is going to be audacious.
That's awesome. I love where you went there, and it really clarified for me, this idea initially, I think, was, oh, blue collar jobs are going to be in trouble and small businesses are going to be in trouble because of this and that reason. And the reality is, small businesses is where it's at. And that human
Absolutely.
connection is where it's at, and that community is where it's at. And one thing you said, Mark, that really connected with me is maybe in the future, productivity is so high and there's universal income because there's so much money out there in the world. People are going to want experiences. They're going to want real human events and experiences. Your Bruce Springsteen concert is a really good example of that. They're still going to want to go to the concert and see the
Mhm,
real thing and be with real humans
mhm,
and do things. And
mhm,
by the way, small businesses that perform real value, whether it be trades or home services or those kinds of businesses, they're going to be needed and they're going to be such a pillar of the community. To me, that really makes sense. And I think for me, then, Mark, if we transition that, it's there's this, I don't know if you're getting it too, Rich, this feeling of it's not, there are some people in our communities that are very anti AI. They're anti AI because they're fearful of what it's going to do to humanity, quite honestly, and the destruction of kind of what we know our lives to be. And then there are people that are like super AI, right? They want to use this to do everything in their lives and make things easier for them. It seems like you're fitting in the middle in a way of you got to get the most out of the human experience while
mhm.
also knowing what's out there and using these tools to really accelerate some of the things you want to do in life. Is that a fair way of looking at it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it is a fair way. I think, yeah, I sense the same thing. In fact, I wrote a blog post last week because I was so frustrated um, because people on LinkedIn were actually scolding me, telling me I should be fighting against AI. And they're just burying their head in the sand. There's just this defensiveness that they're just going to lose out. And I really think we're going to live in a world where you're not going to be able to be a productive, engaged member of society without embracing AI. It's the same, it's like smartphones 15 years ago, right? If we said 15 or 20 years ago, oh, you're going to carry around this device that really is like collecting all the information about you and knows where you are every moment of the day, you're going to go, oh no, who would do that? But you resign yourself to say, I need this device. In fact, most people covet this device. They celebrate this device. They even name their device. And we can't really live without it. And AI is going to become so integrated into how we work, how we live, how we have fun. We're not going to really be able to deny it.
What is the formula to create a personal brand? What are the components that someone would need to say, I'm clear on my personal brand? Now I'm ready to transition to how do I express it?
I wrote the best-selling book on this topic. I spent 2 years doing the research to figure out what is the pattern. I interviewed 97 people from all around the world who are like the go-to people in their field. Every construction, education, wealth management, music, lots and lots of different topics. They all did the same four things. Now, you mentioned, oh, you know what you want to be known for. That's the first step. And that's not that easy. So that takes them, in my experience, I've coached hundreds of people in this. I teach a class in this. That's where most people get stuck, is really determining where do I fit in this ecosystem? How do you finish this sentence? Only I, or for a business, only we. That's the beginning of establishing your brand. Second step, now you know where you fit in. You know what story there is to tell. Where do you tell that story? And you've got to find a way to maneuver. It's a crowded world, it's a noisy world. Hit them where they ain't. Where are your customers? Can you find a different way to maneuver? Number three, how are we going to tell the story? Really, this is where a lot of people get confused because they say, oh, do I need to be on LinkedIn? Do I need to be on Facebook? The real question is content fuels the brand, whether it's your company brand or a personal brand. And you really only have four choices. You write something like a blog, you have video like on YouTube, you have audio like a podcast, or maybe images that you would put on Pinterest or on Instagram. And then you pick one. If you're to stand out, you have to be great. You can't be great in 12 places. So you pick one type of original content that fuels the brand. Once you choose that, now you use social media as the distribution system. Then the fourth step is building an actionable audience. Big numbers on social media, it doesn't really matter. Social media, it represents reach. It doesn't represent people opening up their wallet and paying you something. So you have to build an actionable audience. And the best way to do that is to be consistent and helpful with your content, establish the reputation, the authority, and the presence in the digital world so people turn to you and trust you, and that leads to business.
Tell me more about the build an actionable audience.
What I mean by that, I really call this the alpha audience. So unfortunately, most businesses think, okay, I need to increase my followers on social media. And that's important, but it's ephemeral. And I know probably every business leader or owner or entrepreneur listening to this show is going to think, oh my gosh, I post and I just feel like I'm throwing a bottle in the ocean. I don't know what's happening. Everybody feels that with social media. Now, the real key is to create content so good, so meaningful, so worthy, so helpful that the people from social media subscribe to you. They subscribe to your blog, your podcast, or your video. That represents a new level of emotional connection. In a virtual way, they're raising their hand saying, I like what you do. I believe in you. I'm going to follow you and subscribe to you. And every once in a while, you can even sell something to me. That's okay. So that is really where we're going into this actionable audience. It's something beyond just social media followers. Now, the next step, which is where most businesses, they're not playing at all, is a brand community. This is where you find your best customers, your best fans who want to support you and help you. And there's this intersection between what you're trying to do in the world and what your customers are trying to do to learn, to grow, to change the world in some way. And a very simple example that a lot of people can resonate with is Patagonia. If I say Patagonia, immediately you think responsible recreation, they care about the environment and the world. I have a friend, he only buys Patagonia clothes. They are not the most beautiful clothes, they are not the cheapest clothes, but he literally belongs to the brand. He's part of that community where there's this intersection between what the brand's trying to do and what he's trying to do. And that's the highest point of emotional connection and loyalty. And so that's this continuum. You go social media audience to subscribers to brand community. And that's really where the buying takes place.
Mark, if people want to get more of you, how can they do that?
I don't know about getting more of me. There's hardly anything left.
Or your avatar. That's fine.
But you could visit my website, and it's easy to remember, businessesgrow.com. And we talked about a couple of my books today. We talked about my blog today. It's free. I send out my best ideas every week. And all my social media connections are there. And I'd love to hear from your listeners.
That's great. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Stay tuned as John and Rich unpack today's conversation.
John, between where we stopped recording and just picked up this conversation, I typed into my ChatGPT, what is a one sentence that I would be known for based on everything you know about me? I think you should type that in real quick while I read you my sentence.
Okay.
Here's a sentence. Here's what it says. I help entrepreneurial leaders break their old identity patterns so they can lead with clarity, emotional intelligence, and high performance systems that scale teams without losing their humanity. It's a pretty good first draft. I never would have done that if we hadn't had this conversation with Mark. The idea of a personal brand. And we could go on ChatGPT and say, how do you create a personal brand? We could buy Mark's book. I believe I'm going to buy it and take a look at it and do some of the things in it. I just thought it would be interesting. I use ChatGPT every day to just say, hey, based on what everything you know about me, what is one sentence that I would be known for as my personal brand? And that's what I got. What did you get?
Hold on. My ChatGPT gave me 3 options. So the one I like the most from reading these is I teach high-performing entrepreneurs how to win for decades in business, wealth, and family by combining bold ambition with uncommon patience.
Mm.
That's pretty good.
Except you would replace uncommon patience with patient ambition.
Yes. That actually was in one of my other ones. In one of
Was
my
it?
other ones, it said, I help ambitious leaders build enduring businesses and lives through disciplined long-term thinking, what I call patient ambition.
What do you think about this idea of if you're competent, you're vulnerable, and you're no longer ever the smartest person in the room? As a matter of fact, there's no person who's the smartest person in the room. It's AI is the smartest person in the room. What's your take on that?
I love it. And I'll tell you why I love it. Somebody who thinks they're competent by default, in my mind, is to the point of vulnerability, putting themselves in a position of, I'm competent, they're never going to replace lawyers, or I'm competent, they're never going to take away what I do. And if you look at every single trade, every single small business, every single big business, everything is in question right now. I think Mark is right. We're always going to want to go see a Bruce Springsteen concert, but I'm not so sure that 20 years from now, there's not going to be concerts with something else going on that's not human. I have no idea. Doesn't interest me right now, but I don't know what the future generations are going to hold. So I think everything is vulnerable. And if you look at yourself as being vulnerable in what you do and how you do it, I think that's a good angle to have right now. You should be thinking about where the puck is going, not where the puck is. And if you're thinking, well, I'm competent, I'm good, no one's ever going to replace me, I think that's a very dangerous spot to be. So I like this idea of if you think you're competent, think again, because a lot of things are going to change. And how do you get ahead of it? I think the one area, Rich, that I would like to discuss with you a little bit is I'm in the process over the past few years of building my personal brand. And I know you are as well. We have the podcast, we do coaching, I wrote a book. There's different things going on where I'm focused on building my personal brand because I do believe that is some of the value. So I do subscribe to a lot of things that Mark talked about. But I work with a lot of entrepreneurs who don't. Their main purpose is not to create a personal brand. Their main purpose is growing their company and having their company be successful. And when you have that lens, if I had to take this conversation with Mark and twist it a little bit to them, to that audience, which is most of the people that listen to our podcast, small business entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs, I still take away from this conversation the importance of human experience and connection, whether that be at your company and making sure that there's still that human experience, that human connection. Like COVID had us all move away from our offices, all go work from home. We lost a human connection. And then AI comes right on top of that going, okay, we could just I just talk to my AI partner. I don't have to talk to my colleague down in the other cubicle next to me. Things have changed so fast that human connection is a big missing element. And whether that be you're a small business and you should be going more into the community to connect with your neighbors, to connect with your small business with the community, or whether it be within your own team, connecting with your team to create that experience of when you work for this company, you're part of this human experience, I think is going to be a lost art 10 years from now. And the entrepreneurs that do that well in their respective small businesses will win.
I think it's practically a lost art now. It's a lost art. I don't know. I have a couple of one of my kids younger than your youngest, who you've recently spent some time with, Paige at 12 years old. The other kids and Paige, you should see them when they want to order a pizza. Nobody wants to talk to a human.
No.
Nobody wants to be on the phone. They're afraid they're not going to order it right. They're going to say the wrong thing. They're going to say it in the wrong order. They're going to have to be on hold. They're going to sound dumb. They're not going to know the answer. And everybody's going to online for almost everything. And I even see it when kids go to the mall. Kids go to the mall and they see some, oh, that's for my school. Are you guys friends? Yeah, we're friends. Why don't you say hi to them? Oh, I don't know. They're here with their family. People are not reaching out to each other in the way that you and I were raised. We're the back in my day type people, but people aren't reaching out to each other. And there is something too. Back in our day, we wrote notes in class that said, "Do you like me, Mark? Yes or no?" and handed that across, right? And now what do kids do? They exchange not even text message. They exchange their snap with each other because it's too personal to exchange a phone number, because people keep their phone number over a period of years. And you could just delete somebody off of your Snapchat. Like, people are purposefully shielding phone numbers to communicate. So when you say lost art, it'll be a lost art. I don't know. I think we're losing the art right now a little bit.
I agree. And the resounding thing for me is experience. At the end of the day, income is not everything. It's talking to small business owners right now, and entrepreneurs within small companies. Things are going to get nutty for a while. And I think people really need to have a good sense of their why, their purpose, why they exist, and what they're trying to achieve in this thing called life. And if it's, I want to make as much money as possible, and that's their whole why and purpose, yeah, maybe you should jump on the AI train and create the next, company, be the next Mark Zuckerberg. Go for it. Go for it, if that's really what you're all about. But if you're about experiencing what life has to offer, it's about playing pickleball with you and your family on Sunday. It's about going to dinner with you guys on Sunday night when I was in Iowa. That was a great human experience of us just really connecting. It was great seeing your father, by the way, who just had a kick out of, oh my God, I can't believe I'm seeing you guys together in the flesh. Because you hadn't seen us together in decades, right?
Yeah.
And so those human connections, if you prioritize in your business the culture of your company, the culture of your leadership, what you're trying to do with your small business, and help people through this period through providing those levels of experiences and human connections. And I think with us, Rich, one of the things we contribute to that is our Entrepreneurs United Empowerment Experience event, as an example.
Yes.
It's an opportunity for people to come together and have these experiences together. Like, people are going to seek more of those out. We need to, as entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs, provide those opportunities within our own companies as well to bypass this effect of we're getting disconnected.
Opportunities like blowing on an armadillo's rear end.
Yeah. That was
opportunities fun. Like a sailing competition. Opportunities like shooting shotguns. Opportunities like NASCAR racing. These are all things that we do at the Entrepreneurs United event. Another one is coming up. We're not quite ready to plug it yet, but another one is coming up, and I think people aren't going to want to miss it. Last thing I want to recap that we heard from Mark, the idea that AI is creating a pandemic of dull.
Love that.
Woo! Yes, it is. Oh my gosh. John, when I see a LinkedIn post, and that LinkedIn post has 4 to 8 paragraphs of exactly 4 or 5 sentences, and it has emojis spread across it, I don't even want to read it. That wasn't written by the person who posted it. I'm less interested in reading it. It's so interesting because as professionals, as a society, we have spent so long trying to perfect what we do. Speak correct English. Use the semicolon instead of the comma where it belongs. Do you use comma and at the end of 3 things? Or do you not use the comma and just say and? Like, we've spent so long trying to perfect things. AI can perfect that for us. So guess what? Guess what people are getting connected with? The imperfection. The writing that we're putting on LinkedIn, we need to be putting it on that has some flaws in it. That actually makes it interesting. That actually makes it relatable. We can actually identify, oh, a human wrote this. This is a run-on sentence. It makes me want to read it. It's so interesting because that flipped in just like 2 years. Humanity has been trying to perfect since ever. And in the last 2 years, perfect is not getting much attention. And we want to show up as ourselves more today than ever. In how we write, and how we do video, and how we show up with our teams. People are appreciating the imperfections of humanity more than ever, and it creates connectedness.
Love that, Rich. Look forward to more of these next week. Thanks for joining us.